Hi everyone, this is Anders from Starlify. In today's session, I'm going to show you how to get started with Starlify real quick and without necessarily knowing all the details about your network. Because in Starlify, it's easy to change and expand as you go along. But let's dig into it. And as you can see, I have a Starlify canvas right here. I have no networks in it. There's nothing here. And we like to at least have one network. And if I click here, let's just create something called a network. As we said, we don't need to know all the information, but let's get started somewhere. And in this network, which is a logical container, so now you can see I have a network here, we want nodes. What kind of nodes do we want? We have systems, we have the APIs or the services that systems offer, and then we have integration contracts. So let's create a node. Let's create a couple of systems here. And in my example, I'm just going to say that you probably have an ERP system. Everyone has an ERP system. And in this example, let's say that we have a warehouse management system. And we know that these two systems are communicating somehow. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, okay, who is providing some sort of API or database connection or whatever you have in order to make these two systems have a conversation? And after thinking about it for a while, let's say that the warehouse management system is the one offering an API. So I right click, you can see I right click the system and I can create something called services. And let's just say that this has a WMS, we call it a create pick list because we know we can create pick lists. And we also have that the WMS can offer an update article service. Or we can call them APIs if we want to. Let's do that. So now we've created two APIs, one that offers anyone to create a pick list and one that offers an article update. And let's say that the ERP then wants to communicate with these interfaces. So I right click the ERP and I create a reference. Reference is the same thing as an integration contract. It's the same thing. And let's just say we talk to the update article API to begin with. So in this reference, I can name it something. Let's call it ERP to WMS update article. Naming is always good. And here you can select the information direction. We can have data flowing in both directions, or as in this case, let's just say that the ERP is actually populating the WMS. And now we've created an integration contract. That was fast, wasn't it? Let's right click again and make yet another reference, but this time to the pick list. Same information direction. It's an ERP to WMS, create pick list, and boom. We've created a communication between two different systems, by two different integration contracts or references, as we call them, speaking with two different APIs. Now, when you've come this far, maybe you realize that, hey, it's not really what's going on here. I have an integration service. So I right click anywhere on the canvas and I can create a new system again. Let's say that I have an integration system helping me out here. And it's actually the integration system that acts as a middleware for this. So I want to create services that says this is the IS. Now I'm getting creative with the naming here, but I have the article update and pick list creation services here instead. And this is a neat feature with Starlify. So if I go to the article update and I right click the reference, I can change the target. And I can select then the article update in the IS instead. And it's repointed. Can do the same thing with the other one. Change the target there as well. Go into the pick list creation. And what I'm now showing is that the ERP actually only knows that it's speaking with an integration service somewhere. And of course, I need to do the same thing in order to complete the flow here. And right-click the integration service, create a new reference then. We can start with the article update. And the information flow is still that the IS is speaking to the WMS. And it's IS article update. So what we've done now is that we've redrawn the article update. It's actually going in this direction now. We're showing that we're piping it through a middleware. Let's just do the rest of this and make sure that the pick list is created the same way. So IS to WMS. Oh, missed a little. Let's make it a capital letter. So now we're showing the complete flow as it really is. So when you've come this far, you might realize that you have different domains. So let's go into this network panel here and do manage networks. We just created one called network. Let's call this one, let's rename it, and we'll rename it ERP instead. Let's create a couple of other networks just to show what we can do with this. Let's make one the integration services, and let's say that we have a warehouse management domain. There's something called network groups as well. Let's create a network group. And a network group, you can create as many as you want with any permutation of networks in them. Let me show you an example. Let's create something called all. And you just drag and drop whichever networks you want to populate your network group. So in this case, I want all three of them that I created. And you can see that I ended up in the warehouse management. It's the last network I created, and it looks like it's empty. So let's fill that up with something. Let's take this WMS system, right-click it, and do System Details. All nodes have a detail panel with some information. You can populate it with metadata as well. But in this case, let's go to the Relations tab and see that, okay, I reside in this network. Let's change that. Let's place it in the warehouse management instead. And something magic happens. It lost the coloration. That's because this is now an external network in regards to the ERP network that we are in. So you retain the information that you have communication here, but you can see that it actually belongs to different domain. Let's do the same with IS, and something different will happen. So we go to Relations, check the network, and let's put this then into the integration services network we created. Now something exciting will happen to the WMS bubbles. They will disappear. Because from the ERP point of view, you actually only know that you are communicating with the integration services. So from this view, you have more of a localized understanding of what's going on. And if you were to go into the warehouse management, you would have the same kind of view, but from the warehouse management point of view. So it can only see that it communicates with integration service. And here comes the purpose with the network groups. If you click the network group, you have everything in here. So if you enter the network group all, where we had all the different networks, you can see the entire picture. And we have a little neat feature up here. It says sort by none right now. You can click it and do sort by network. And you will automatically get a picture of the different domains and which nodes it actually has. You can also toggle nodes on and off. So you can actually, if you want to show this picture to someone, maybe not that much into IT, let's get rid of all the services and the references. And you can easily understand that, okay, this is the way data flows in my network. Starlify has another really powerful concept. It's called flows. So on here to the left, you can see that if I click flow, I can create something called a new flow. I have to select the parent network because they're always owned by a network. But let's call this a pick list creation. That's the flow. And a flow is an end-to-end integration. So what you do is that you can name sources and target systems. Let's add a source. In this case, it's the ERP system that is the source. You can see that it lights up when I selected it. And you also have a target. And the target in this case is the WMS system, the warehouse management system. And what I do is that I construct my end-to-end flow by selecting which individual references are part of this. So I wanted to create a pick list, and I need to use the ERP to WMS, and I also need to use the integration services, piping that along. And now you can see that I've created something that lets the ERP communicate via these two individual references to create a flow. If you were to just kind of look at the whole picture and go in and click one of these, it's easy to understand with the flow which components are part of more complicated end-to-end flows. So in very few minutes, with not knowing all data from the beginning, you can create your map as you go along in Starlify. And the value will be immediate. If you and one of your colleagues or a couple of colleagues have the conversation, oh, how is my data really flowing in the system? It will be really quick for you to set this up. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoy Starlify. Have a nice day.